Starting in 2025, the renowned Evolution series, which has decades of history as the premier fighting games event, will cross the Atlantic Ocean into Europe with its first ever Evo France in Nice. The trio of events of Japan, the US and now European Evos puts a question in the air about where the series could land next. And we think we have a potential candidate. Through its public investment fund and subsidiaries, the Saudi Arabia government has been quickly acquiring a sizable chunk of the esports industry, including some of the largest tournament organizers. Given the sheer size and cultural significance of the FGC, it's not surprising that Evo, its most significant tournament, could be its next target acquisition. But how would that go down? What are the potential responses from the community members to takeover of the biggest event for a hugely diverse scene? And what if we told you that this is already happening? In today's DashFight video, we want to explore these questions. But before we do, however, remember that you can subscribe to us here on YouTube for more FGC content. The PIF, or Public Investment Fund, is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's, public investment fund. To simplify, a huge government-run company that executes the vision of the country through financial means. Norway, for instance, has a similar company that manages its extensive surplus from its natural resources. However, Saudi Arabia's fund is a little more active in the field. The investment fund has aggressively pursued several deals over the past decade, aimed at everything in the entertainment and sports industries, including golf, football, or soccer for our American viewers, and of course esports and gaming. A direct result of those is the Esports World Cup and Gamers 8, its prototype. Although located in Riyadh, it's important to highlight that it's organized and supported by direct PIF purchases, such as the EGS Group, which combines CSL, Faceit, and Esports Engine. These three massive esports event organizers have all been bought up by the PIF over the past few years. The Esports World Cup is not just a single event, but a multi-year program. According to leaked documents, some team organizations may even have signed a deal to establish Saudi Arabia as their base of operations, or at least a permanent office in said organizations. In principle, the PIF's goal is to seed a new industry for the country and move away from oil, which could dry up in the next few decades. However, the prince and future king of the country, Mohammed bin Salman, allegedly has other auxiliary goals in mind. As asserted by many outside of Saudi Arabia, one of those goals is to wash away the kingdom's poor international image. This is often called sports washing. Other countries in the region have also taken part in it, including Qatar, which hosted FIFA's World Cup in 2022. The practice, though, is not at all reserved for oil-rich nations. China, the United States, Russia, and dozens of other countries have leveraged cultural and sports activities for ends other than building strong tourism economies. Saudi Arabia in particular carries with it a living legacy of authoritarian rule by its monarch, including the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi in 2018, a Saudi-born citizen and a Washington Post journalist who was killed in a Saudi consulate in Turkey. Another layer that Saudi Arabia is trying to peel off its back is that of women's and minorities' rights. Although it has taken some steps to address these, there is still a core legal distinction between men who enjoy extensive civil liberties and women who are often under guardianship relationships with their husbands, fathers, and other male family members. Now, all of these underlying issues and the complete goals of Saudi Arabian government with the PIF and esports are well outside of this one single video. So instead, let's pull back and take a look at how EWC could be the first step into a larger collaboration between it and the FGC. The Esports World Cup, which featured dozens of games and had another dozen teams participating, also included two key fighting game titles in its lineup, Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. Although there are no details yet, the 2025 edition of the event is already confirmed, and it's likely to be even bigger. However, Evo has already unveiled its calendar for 2025, and to the surprise of some, there was no mention of hosting a new Evo in the region. Instead, the aforementioned Evo France will be the series' first foray into the old continent. That does not mean the Saudis are not laying the groundwork. Announced during Evo 2024, the first Evo Awards show will take place in Los Angeles, sponsored by Quidia, one of Saudi's mega projects. You might be familiar with some of the other projects of this kind, like Neom, a brand new city with a singular industry in focus, in this case, entertainment. The collaboration won't raise many eyebrows yet, but there is precedent for an award show first being sponsored by a Saudi-led project or company to move its entire operation to the region itself. The Esports Awards, which has been running for nearly a decade, announced it would fly halfway across the globe to Riyadh for its ceremony. However, they also stated that the Journalist of the Year award will be removed from its awards list. Yikes. On the competitive side of the picture, there is no denying that FGC players are seasoned travelers, with many making the trip to Japan and many more likely going to France. If Saudi Arabia's fundamental goal is to turn its oil economy into a tourist destination, FGC players, as a collective, can undoubtedly move across the globe to enjoy some quality competition. EWC in 2024 only featured 2 fighting games, but perhaps more will follow. Mortal Kombat 1 would be an easy pick, as its own pro competition circuit does not carry the same weight as others, and the EWC's stature could elevate it. Multiversus is still searching for a competitive scene, and dozens of runner-up titles would cherish the opportunity to participate in an event with a prize pool measured in dozens of millions of dollars. However, the community might be well and truly split on this one. A number of prominent voices within the FGC have spoken both in favor and against the EWC. Sejam, for instance, posted that he had rejected offers from both Gamersgate and this EWC cycle. Sonic Fox also spoke about LGBTQ+ concerns around the event's safety, and the fact that they feel unable to participate in the event due to their identity. It's not a trait unique to FGC either. Several prominent figures in the esports industry, such as Golden Boy, are distancing themselves from EWC. This separation has also brought about a larger discussion around the EWC, which often sees people speak over each other on issues that neither side seems to agree with. Over the past few years, the Middle Eastern region has seen incredible growth in the fighting games community. There's no denying that a local event would be a huge point of pride for them, after so many decades of neglect by the international audience and dreaded visa issues. At the same time, handing over the hosting rights of such events to a singular entity under the control of authoritarian monarchical government, hostile to those that oppose it, and even to its own citizens if they are women, queer, or voice their opposition, also sours a lot of the excitement for that international audience. Finally, there is a fog around the EWC model itself. Esports has struggled for a decade now with indiscriminate spending by organizers and teams to satisfy a fantasy of what professional esports looks like. From venture capital investment to crypto, betting sponsors, and more. The cycle of accepting any and all investments has put the industry on a tightrope as it attempts to balance overblown budgets with small-scale operations. This is perhaps best showcased by the number of players signed relating to the EWC over the past year. Teams are digging deep for talented players who can give them a chance to win a chunk of the EWC team's prize pool. The question is then, when they fail or when the teams leave, what will happen to dozens of players who are now without support? Will teams still want to have them on their roster? Unfortunately, it's not even like the format is good. Now, of all the issues, this is likely the easiest to address for the EWC, but given the caliber of the event, it has been truly remarkable just how poor the coverage of things like the Last Chance qualifiers has been. There's a real sense that, yeah, EWC does not care too much about the competition beyond it being functional to its goals. Piercing the fog and looking into the future of professional esports is not just hard but outright impossible. The FGC has long held grassroots events as the pinnacle of competition, community, and entertainment. It has helped to weather many other downturns before, even ones directly targeting its regionality, like COVID in 2020. Would rejecting the EWC as a community leave the FGC better or worse off? One thing is certain, EVO holds a special place in the hearts of thousands of players. Whatever the future holds, the entire FGC will see a massive shift if it moves. But whether that will be a continental shift that builds new peaks or an earth-shattering fracture that splits the scene into twine, well, only time will tell.